Pandora, the living planet. The journey to Pandora. The name itself paints a picture of a world far different from anything we know. Hidden deep within the Alpha Centauri star system, this moon from afar appears to be nothing more than a shimmering light in the distance. But for those who come close, Pandora reveals itself as an entirely different reality, a world teeming with life, where every gust of wind, every tree, every creature is a part of a single living soul. The Navi say that Pandora is alive. Their proverb is simple yet profound. All energy is borrowed, and one day you have to give it back. But Pandora was not always like this. Billions of years ago, it was a fiery, volatile place. Volcanoes erupted endlessly. Poisonous gases filled the atmosphere, and polyphemus gravitational storms tore through the land. Yet over time, this chaos settled. A powerful magnetic field formed around the moon, protecting its atmosphere and laying the foundation for life. Alpha Centauri and Polyphemus. Pandora orbits the gas giant Polyphemus within the Alpha Centauri star system. Alpha Centauri is a triple star system, Rigil Centaurus, Ptolemy, and Proxima Centauri, and the complex gravitational forces of these stars make this region of space truly unique. Polyphemus is a massive planet larger than Jupiter, and its strong magnetic field shields Pandora's atmosphere. But this atmosphere is deadly for humans. It contains high levels of carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and other trace toxins that would kill any human in just minutes without a mask. Yet this dense air is perfect for the life that thrives on Pandora. Gravity here is slightly lower than Earth's, allowing life forms to grow much larger. The Hallelujah Mountains, the legendary floating mountains, hover in the sky because of powerful magnetic anomalies in the area. These magnetic fields hold giant rock formations aloft, a phenomenon that defies the laws of nature as we know them. The birth of life and evolution, billions of years ago, amidst Pandora's volcanic eruptions and lightning storms, chemical reactions sparked the birth of the first microorganisms. Over millions of years, these primitive life forms evolved into the vast array of plants and creatures we see today. Unlike Earth, Pandora's life developed with a unique neural link that connected each organism to the larger planetary network. Eywa, most life on Pandora is bioluminescent. At night, trees, plants, and even the animals glow softly, lighting up the dark jungles. This bioluminescence isn't just for beauty, it's a survival mechanism. Some plants use their glow to lure predators away, while others use it to communicate danger to neighboring flora. As you walk through Pandora's forest, the ground beneath your feet glows softly, proof that the entire planet is alive and connected beneath the surface. Flora, the plants of Pandora. Pandora's plant life is unlike anything on Earth. The most iconic is the home tree, the towering home of the Navi. Standing over 150 meters tall, the home tree is not just a dwelling, it's an entire ecosystem. Its vast root system anchors it deep into the neural network of Eywa, making it one of the most sacred sites for the Navi. The helichradium plant can instantly retract into the ground when touched, protecting itself from danger. Then there are wood sprites, or tokarina, glowing seeds that float from the Tree of Souls to the Navi. These are considered pure blessings from Eywa if a wood sprite lands on you. It is believed that you have been chosen by Eywa herself. Pandora's plants don't just stand still, they communicate. When one plant senses danger, it sends a signal through Eywa's neural network to alert others nearby. Fauna. The creatures of Pandora. Pandora's creatures are just as extraordinary. The deadliest predator in the forest is the Thanator. Powerful, lightning fast, and fiercely territorial, the Thanator is feared even by the Navi. Its massive jaws can crush steel. Then there are the Banshees, or Ikran flying predators that make their homes along towering cliffs. Navi warriors must tame a Banshee as a rite of passage into adulthood, forming a sahelu, a sacred neural bond, with the creature. This bond lasts a lifetime. Dire horses, six-legged herbivores, are the primary mounts of the Na'vi. They too can form a neural bond with their riders, moving in perfect harmony as if they were one. The jungles of Pandora also filled with countless other species, the lemur-like Prolemurus, packs of vicious viper wolves and swarms of glowing insects that use bioluminescent patterns to communicate. Each species plays a role in maintaining Pandora's delicate balance. Eywa, the heart of Pandora, the greatest secret of Pandora is Eywa. Eywa is a massive planetary neural network that links every living organism together. To the Na'vi, Eywa is their goddess. When a Na'vi connects their neural braid to another creature or plant, they become part of Eywa. In that moment, they don't just feel themselves, they feel the heartbeat of the entire planet. Memories live within Eywa, through sacred places like the Tree of Souls and the Tree of Voices. The Na'vi can access the wisdom and experiences of their ancestors. This connection guides every aspect of their lives: birth, death, hunting, and even war. Pandora's ecosystem exists in perfect harmony because of Eywa. If one species is destroyed, the entire system can collapse. Legends among the Na'vi say that when a great imbalance threatens Pandora, Eywa herself intervenes, altering the environment to restore balance. The fragile balance, but this harmony is fragile. Every plant, every creature, every part of Pandora is connected. Disrupt one thread, and the entire web could fall apart. The Na'vi understand this. They hunt only what they need and give thanks to Eywa for the life they take. They return their dead to the roots of the Tree of Souls, knowing that their energy will live on in the network forever. Yet this balance would soon face its greatest threat. Outsiders, humans, arrived on Pandora. They did not seek to understand Eywa or the life of Pandora. They came for only one thing: resources. Deep beneath Pandora's surface lies a mineral called unobtainium, the most valuable substance in the known universe. To humans, Pandora was nothing more than a treasure chest waiting to be plundered. And so, the seeds of conflict were sown. Pandora's harmony was about to be shattered forever. A species that had already destroyed the balance of its own world was now here to strip this living soul of its treasures. And this is only the beginning. In the next part, we will meet the Na'vi, the true people of Pandora, who will fight to protect their land, their culture, and their goddess Eywa from those who would destroy it. The Na'vi, children of Eywa, who are the Na'vi, the true children of Pandora, standing nearly 3 meters tall, with luminous blue skin and golden eyes that reflect the light of Eywa. The Na'vi are among the most graceful yet resilient beings in the galaxy. To outsiders, they might seem primitive. They wield bows instead of guns, ride living creatures instead of piloting machines. But to truly understand the Na'vi, you must look deeper. Their technology is not measured in steel and circuits, it is measured in harmony with the world around them. They do not conquer nature, they live as part of it. The Na'vi believe that they were not born separate from Pandora, but of Pandora. They are connected to Eywa, the great spirit of the world, just as every tree and animal is. This belief is not superstition, it is their reality. The origin of the Na'vi legends say that they were born from the Tree of Souls itself. Eywa shaped them as guardians of balance, tasked with maintaining harmony across Pandora's vast ecosystems. Scientific studies by humans show that the Na'vi share many similarities with Pandora's other creatures, the same bioluminescent patterns, the same four-fingered hands, the same neural cues that allow Sahelu, the sacred bond. This suggests that the Na'vi are not separate from Pandora's web of life, but are its highest expression. In Na'vi oral traditions, ancient stories tell of a time when the first clans walked under the stars, guided only by Eywa's whispers. These stories are sung in epic ballads that can last days, each verse a memory of their ancestors preserved in song. Physical characteristics and abilities: the Na'vi are incredibly strong and agile, adapted perfectly for life on Pandora. Their limbs are long and flexible, capable of leaping great distances or climbing the tallest trees. Their lungs are designed to thrive in Pandora's dense atmosphere, where humans can barely survive. Their senses are sharper than any humans. They can see in low light, hear the faintest rustle in the distance, and track prey across miles of forest. Bioluminescent freckles across their skin glow faintly at night, connecting them visually to the world around them. But their most extraordinary trait is the neural tendrils at the end of their braid. Through Sailu, they can bond with animals and plants, linking minds and sharing sensations. This is not just a tool, it is a sacred connection that forms a lifetime bond with the creature or plant they connect to. Clans of the Na'vi are not one people, but many. Across Pandora's continents and oceans live dozens of clans, each adapted to their environment. The Omaticaya, the forest clan most familiar to us, live high in the trees of the Hallelujah Mountains. They are expert archers and climbers, perfectly attuned to life in the rainforest canopy. Far across the planet live the Metkaina, a reef-dwelling clan who make their homes among giant oceanic mangroves. Their bodies have adapted for swimming, stronger chests for holding breath, tails that act as rudders. There are also the horse people of the plains, who ride herds of dire horses across the grasslands, and the cliff-dwelling clans who tame great mountain banshees. Each clan has its own traditions, songs, and history, yet all share a devotion to Eywa. Clans gather during times of great need at sacred sites like the Tree of Souls, uniting as one people when the balance of Pandora is threatened. Culture and society: Na'vi society is built on respect for each other, for their ancestors. And for Eywa, leadership is not taken by force but given by trust. Each clan is led by a Sahik, the spiritual guide, and an Oloiikton, the clan chief. The Sahik communes directly with Eywa, interpreting the will of the world spirit, while the Oloiikton leads in matters of survival and defense. The Na'vi do not use written language. Their history is preserved through oral tradition, epic songs, dances, and carvings that tell the story of who they are. Children are raised communally, taught not just survival skills but the deeper truth of balance and harmony. Marriage is a lifelong bond sealed before Eywa. Through Sahelu, partners connect their souls at the Tree of Voices, pledging themselves to each other and to the greater balance of life. Spiritual beliefs in Eywa: at the heart of Na'vi spirituality is Eywa, the great spirit that connects all living things. But Eywa is not a distant deity. She is present in every root, every leaf, every heartbeat. The Na'vi believe that when they die, their energy is returned to Eywa. Their bodies are buried at sacred sites, where their neural connections join the ancestral network. This is why the Tree of Souls is so revered. It is the clearest place where Eywa's voice can be heard. Rituals like the hunt are performed with deep reverence. When a Na'vi must kill for food, they offer a prayer to Eywa and to the spirit of the animal, thanking it for the life it gives. To waste life is the greatest sin. Legends tell of Eywa's intervention during times of great crisis. When the balance is disturbed, Eywa may send signs: a sudden change in weather, a dream, or a rare wood sprite appearing at one's side. Language and music: the Na'vi language is rich and melodic, created not for speed but for beauty. It was designed to be sung as easily as it is spoken. Songs are at the heart of Na'vi life. Songs that guide travelers through the forest, songs that record the deeds of their ancestors, and lullabies that connect children to Eywa from birth. Music is also a form of communication with Pandora itself. Drumming and chanting at sacred sites are believed to amplify the connection to Eywa, sending messages through the neural network of the planet. The connection to nature to the Na'vi, every plant and animal is kin. They do not view themselves as masters of their world, but as one part of it. This philosophy is woven into every aspect of their lives. The way they build homes without harming trees, the way they take only what they need from the forest, and the way they give thanks for every life taken. This connection is most evident in Sahelu. When a Na'vi bonds with a creature, they experience the world as that creature does. They feel its heartbeat, its fear, its joy. Such a bond is sacred and cannot be broken without great pain. The first contact for generations, the Na'vi lived undisturbed. They moved with the seasons, sang the songs of Eywa, and kept the balance of Pandora intact. But all of that changed when the sky people, humans, arrived. To the Na'vi, the roar of engines and the burning lights in the sky were signs of a great disturbance. The humans did not understand Sahelu or Eywa. They came with machines that tore down the forest, seeking only unobtainium. The Na'vi watched from the shadows, unsure of these outsiders. Some saw danger, others saw curiosity, but all felt the trembling of Pandora's balance. For the first time in generations, the Na'vi were about to face a choice. Would they stand and fight to protect Eywa and their way of life, or would they be swept away by the might of the sky people? In the next part, we will witness the clash of worlds, the humans' desperate quest for resources and the Na'vi's struggle to defend the living soul of Pandora. The sky people, humanity's arrival and the seeds of war. Opening, the sky people arrived, the Na'vi called them Tatut, sky people. For generations, Pandora had been untouched by outsiders. But one day, fire streaked across the night sky. To the Na'vi, it looked like Eywa's fury, but it was not a storm. It was humans. These humans came from a world dying of its own greed. Earth's resources were exhausted, its forests burned, its oceans poisoned, and now they looked to Pandora for salvation. The first human ships landed in massive bursts of light and thunder, shaking the ground beneath them. The Na'vi watched in silence from the treetops as towering machines rolled across the land, flattening trees that had stood for centuries. They didn't understand what these beings wanted, but they could feel the disturbance. Pandora's balance was beginning to tremble. Why humans came, Earth's crisis on Earth, humanity's hunger for energy had consumed almost everything. Overpopulation, pollution, and corporate wars had left the planet a shadow of its former self. Cities were overrun with crime and poverty. Clean water and fresh air had become luxuries. But then, scientists discovered something on Pandora, unobtainium. This rare mineral was the most valuable substance in the known universe. A single kilogram was worth millions. Unobtainium could solve Earth's energy crisis and bring unimaginable wealth to those who controlled it. The Resources Development Administration, the RDA, was the most powerful corporation on Earth. Backed by governments and militaries, the RDA was given exclusive rights to mine Pandora. To them, Pandora wasn't a living world. It was a treasure chest waiting to be emptied. The RDA, humanity's power on Pandora, the RDA established the Hell's Gate base, a fortress of steel and concrete in the heart of Pandora. Protected by towering walls and armed to the teeth, Hell's Gate was humanity's foothold on the moon. Inside Hell's Gate, thousands of workers lived and worked. Miners, engineers, scientists, and soldiers, all working for one goal: extract as much unobtainium as possible. Military force. The RDS security forces were led by hardened ex-Marines and mercenaries. Colonel Miles Quaritch, a battle-scarred veteran, embodied their philosophy: we will win by force. His army had gunships, mobile artillery, and massive walking exosuits called amputes. Machines of destruction. The RDS bulldozers and mining rigs could flatten acres of forest in hours. Their starships carried equipment capable of destroying entire ecosystems just to reach a vein of unobtainium. Science Division. led by Dr. Grace Augustine, the scientists were different. They sought to understand Pandora, not destroy it. Grace built a school for the Na'vi, hoping to teach them English and build trust. She also oversaw the Avatar program, which allowed humans to remotely control genetically engineered Na'vi-human hybrids. But the RDA's patience for diplomacy was thin. To them, the Na'vi were obstacles standing in the way of profits. The Avatar program, a bridge between worlds. Because humans could not breathe Pandora's toxic air, the Avatar program was created. Using Na'vi DNA mixed with human genetics, scientists grew Bada's avatars that could be remotely piloted by human operators. For the first time, humans could walk in Pandora's jungles without masks, feel the ground under their feet, and bond with its creatures. Through their avatars, humans experienced Sahelu, the sacred bond, though never as deeply as the Na'vi did. Grace Augustine believed the Avatar program could build a lasting connection with the Na'vi. Through language and shared experience, perhaps they could find common ground. But to the RDA leadership, avatars were just tools. If diplomacy failed, they would resort to force. The Na'vi resist. The Navy saw the humans' machines tearing through their forests and were horrified. Trees older than their ancestors were cut down in seconds. Sacred sites were threatened by mining operations. Attempts to communicate failed. The Na'vi did not trust the Sky People. They were loud, violent, and careless. And as the RDA's operations expanded, encounters between humans and Na'vi became more frequent and more violent. Skirmishes broke out in the forest. Na'vi hunters attacked bulldozers. Human gunships retaliated, killing animals and burning villages. Colonel Quaritch began preparing for a full-scale war, but Grace Augustine and the Avatar team begged for more time. They believed the Na'vi could be convinced to relocate peacefully. Among the Avatar drivers was a new recruit, Jake Sully, a former Marine whose arrival would change everything. The seeds of conflict as the RDA pushed deeper into the forest, they reached the greatest obstacle of all, the home tree of the Omaticaya clan. Beneath its roots lay one of the richest deposits of unobtainium on Pandora. To the Na'vi, home tree was sacred. It was more than a home. It was part of Eywa's network, a living temple. To destroy it would be an unforgivable sin. But to the RDA, home tree was standing on billions of dollars worth of resources. Colonel Quaritch urged the RDA to destroy it and force the Na'vi to move. Grace and her team pleaded for another way. Tensions rose. The Na'vi began preparing for battle, gathering weapons and allies from neighboring clans. They knew the humans' technology was beyond anything they had faced, but they could not abandon their sacred land. The moral divide. Within Hell's Gate, a divide formed. The military and corporate leaders, they believed the Na'vi were primitive and expendable. If they refused to move, force would be used. The scientists and avatars, Grace, Norm, and others argued that the Na'vi were intelligent beings with a deep spiritual connection to Pandora. To destroy them would be genocide. Jake Sully, initially sent to gather intelligence on the Na'vi, began to question his orders. Through his avatar, he experienced life as a Na'vi, learned their ways, and began to understand Eywa's balance. His loyalty was shifting, but would it be in time? Grand ending. The path to war, the RDA had made its decision. If the Na'vi would not move, they would be removed by force. Colonel Quaritch mobilized his troops. Gunships were armed, amp suits powered up, and bombs prepared. The skies over Pandora roared with engines as the humans prepared to strike at the heart of the Omaticaya people. For the Na'vi, this was not just a battle for land. It was a battle for their entire way of life, for Eywa, and for the soul of Pandora itself. The war for Pandora had begun. The war for Pandora, Eywa's wrath opening. The gathering stormed the air. Over Pandora grew heavier with each passing day. The sounds of the forest seemed distant, muffled by the engines of human machines and the whispers of war. Jake Sully, once a soldier sent to spy on the Na'vi, now walked fully among them. Through his avatar, he had learned their ways, their hunts, their songs, their sacred connection to Eywa. He had bonded with a banshee, shared a sacred union with Nedry at the Tree of Voices, and felt the living heartbeat of Pandora itself. But the time for learning was over. The humans, the sky people, were coming, and they were bringing death with them. Colonel Miles Quaritch stood in the command center of Hell's Gate, his scarred face hard as stone. He had grown impatient. "We gave them a chance to move," he told his soldiers. "Now we're going to show them what real force looks like." His target, Home Tree, the ancient stronghold of the Omaticaya clan. Beneath its roots lay one of the richest deposits of unobtainium on the planet. And for the RDA, there was only one solution: total destruction. The fall of Home Tree on the day the humans came, the Na'vi gathered beneath Home Tree's vast branches. Nedry stood beside her mother Moat and her father, the clan's leader Etukan. They could hear the distant rumble of gunships, like a storm on the horizon. Jake Sully tried to warn them. Through his avatar, he pleaded with Etukan to evacuate, but the Omaticaya would not abandon their sacred home. To leave Home Tree would be to sever their bond with Eywa, and then the sky was filled with fire. Gunships hovered over the forest like steel predators. Massive rockets tore into the tree's trunk, sending showers of splinters raining down. The Na'vi fired arrows in desperation, but their weapons were useless against the humans' armor. Jake and Grace Augustine, still in their avatars, tried to help the Na'vi escape, but chaos reigned. Nedry screamed as her father, Etukan, was crushed beneath a falling branch. Moat tried to hold her people together, but Home Tree was collapsing. With a final, thunderous groan, the ancient tree fell. Its roots, which had touched Eywa's network for centuries, were severed. The Na'vi wept as their home, their temple, was reduced to ashes. The Arde believed they had broken the Omatikaya's spirit, but in truth they had only strengthened it. Jake Sully's transformation after the destruction of Home Tree. Jake and the Avatar team were captured by the RDA. Colonel Quaritch accused Jake of betrayal. But before they could be executed, Trudy Shakan, a pilot loyal to Jake, freed them. Grace Augustine was gravely wounded in the escape, shot by Quaritch's men. Desperate to save her, Jake and Nedry carried Grace to the Tree of Souls, the most sacred site on Pandora. There, Moat attempted to transfer Grace's consciousness fully into her avatar body using Eywa's power. The Na'vi surrounded the tree, chanting as glowing tendrils enveloped Grace. But it was too late. Grace's human body was too weak. Before she died, Grace whispered to Jake, "I'm with her now. Eywa is real." Jake knew he had to change. No longer could he walk between two worlds. He needed to become Na'vi fully, body and soul. At the Tree of Souls, the Na'vi performed the same ritual they had tried for Grace. This time, Eywa answered. Jake's human body died, but his spirit was reborn in his avatar. Jake Sully was now truly one of the Na'vi. The call to unite the clans. Jake knew the humans would not stop. Home Tree was only the beginning. Their next target would be the Tree of Souls itself, the spiritual heart of Pandora. If the RDA destroyed it, the Na'vi's connection to Eywa would be severed forever. So Jake mounted his banshee and set out across Pandora to unite the clans. He traveled to the horse people of the plains, to the mountain tribes, and even to the distant reef clans. He told them of Home Tree's fall and the humans' plans for total destruction. Many clans were hesitant. The humans' weapons were powerful, and the Na'vi were few in number. But Jake showed them something that had not been seen in generations. He rode Toric, the great Leonopteryx, the fiercest predator in the skies. In Na'vi legend, only the mightiest warrior could tame Toric, Seeing Jake descend from the clouds on the crimson beast, the clans took it as a sign from Eywa. One by one, they pledged their warriors to his cause. A Navi army, larger than any assembled in living memory, began to march. The humans prepare for war. At Hell's Gate, Colonel Quaritch prepared for his final assault. The plan was simple: fly a massive cargo ship, the Valkyrie, over the Tree of Souls and drop bombs powerful enough to annihilate the entire region. The security forces loaded every gunship, every OMP suit, and every soldier they had. They believed the battle would be quick. With their advanced technology, how could the Navi stand a chance? But the colonel underestimated one thing: Eywa herself. The Battle of Pandora. The humans launched their attack at dawn. The skies over Pandora darkened with gunships as the Navi warriors took their positions in the forest and the mountains. The battle was brutal. Gunships unleashed missile barrages, setting the jungle ablaze. Navi hunters on banshees swooped down from the clouds, launching arrows tipped with poison. Dire horses charged through the undergrowth, trampling soldiers. Jake led the attack from the back of Torek, his arrows striking with deadly precision. Naderi rode beside him, her war cry echoing through the battlefield. But despite their courage, the Navi began to fall. The humans' firepower was overwhelming. The Valkyrie bomber moved ever closer to the Tree of Souls, and then Pandora itself rose. Eywa answered the Navi's prayers. Packs of Thanators erupted from the forest, tearing through human lines. Great hammerhead Titanotheres charged armored columns, flipping them like toys. Even the Banshees attacked in swarms, overwhelming gunships. For the first time, the humans realized they were fighting not just the Navi, but the entire planet. The final confrontation, Jake and Naderi raced to stop the Valkyrie before it could destroy the Tree of Souls. In a desperate mid-air battle, Jake leapt from Torek onto the ship, fighting Quaritch's soldiers in a deadly close-quarters struggle. But the Valkyrie was heavily armed. Explosions ripped through its engines as Jake planted charges. The massive ship fell from the sky, crashing in a fiery inferno before it could drop its payload. Colonel Quaritch, furious and wounded, tracked Jake to the Tree of Souls in his amp suit. He smashed through the forest, determined to kill Jake with his own hands. The battle between the two was savage. Jake, still linked to his avatar, fought desperately. But it was Naderi who fired the final arrow, piercing Quaritch's heart. The colonel collapsed, his last breath hissing out through his cracked oxygen mask. The war was over. Aftermath. Pandora's new dawn. The humans who survived were rounded up and sent back to Earth. Only a few, like Norm and Trudy, who had sided with the Navi, were allowed to stay. At the Tree of Souls, Jake Sully made his final choice. He permanently left his human body behind and embraced life as Navi. Naderi stood beside him as he opened his golden eyes, reborn as a true child of Eywa. The Navi had saved their world, but the scars of the war would never fully heal. They knew that one day the Sky People might return. But for now, Pandora was alive, and Eywa's song of life continued to echo across the forests, mountains, and oceans. Pandora's future and Eywa's secrets, a world healing. The great war for Pandora was over. The humans, the Sky People, had been driven from the moon, their machines of destruction dismantled, their ships sent back across the stars. For the Navi, it was a moment of victory, but it was not without loss. Hometree lay in ruins. Sacred lands had been scarred by fire and steel. The Navi grieved for those they had lost, parents, children, entire clans who had given their lives to protect Eywa. But from the ashes of destruction came new growth. Pandora itself began to heal. The great forest sprouted new shoots. The animals, once scattered by war, returned to their territories. And at the heart of it all, Eywa's song of life continued to resonate, a reminder that balance could be restored. Jake Sully, now fully Navi, stood with Naderi at the Tree of Souls. As the Omaticaya sang their ancestral hymns, Jake made a silent vow. Pandora will never fall again. The return to harmony. The Omaticaya, having lost home tree, were forced to find a new home. Guided by Nateri and the clan's new leaders, they sought refuge deeper in the Hallelujah Mountains, building homes in towering trees where the humans' machines could never reach. Life slowly returned to normal. Children learned the songs of Eywa once again. The hunters rode their dire horses across the forest floor, and the banshees soared through the skies. But there was always an awareness that the Sky People might return. Jake took his role as Oloikton clan leader seriously. He trained the young hunters not just for survival, but for war. He knew that victory was only temporary. Earth's hunger for unobtainium had not disappeared, and one day the humans would come back. Eywa's mysteries revealed the more Jake lived as Navi, the more he began to feel Eywa's presence. He realized that Eywa was not just a spirit, but a living planetary consciousness. The Navi had always known this, but now Jake experienced it directly. Through the Tree of Souls, Jake connected to Eywa's vast network. Every creature, every plant, every drop of water was part of her. Eywa remembered the past and could influence the present. Grace Augustine's final words echoed in Jake's mind. "She's real, Jake. Eywa is real." But what was Eywa's true purpose? Was she simply the sum of Pandora's life, or something more? The Navi told stories of Eywa as a protector, a guide, a goddess, but their legends also spoke of balance. Eywa was not purely benevolent. She could be wrathful, as seen during the war, when she unleashed Pandora's creatures against the humans. Jake wondered if Eywa was preparing for something greater. A conflict not just for Pandora, but for the entire universe. The oceans of Pandora, while the Omaticaya rebuilt their lives in the forests. Jake knew there were entire worlds within Pandora that he had never seen. One of those was the vast ocean that covered much of the moon. Far across the western reefs lived the Metkayina clan, a people who had adapted to life in the water. Their skin was patterned like coral, and their limbs were stronger for swimming. They rode great Ilu, sleek aquatic mounts, and tamed massive Tulkan, intelligent whale-like beings. And the Metkayina lived in harmony with the sea. They built their homes among the mangrove-like roots of gigantic reef structures and spent their lives diving, fishing, and communing with Eywa's oceanic networks. To the Navi of the forest, the Metkayina were almost mythical. Few had ever traveled so far. But Jake sensed that if the Sky People returned, the ocean clans would become vital allies. New threats on the horizon, though the RDA had been defeated, the humans were not gone. Small groups remained hidden in remote outposts, scavenging supplies and waiting for reinforcements from Earth. Through whispers and rumors, Jake learned that Earth's situation had grown even more desperate. Climate collapse and dwindling resources meant that humanity no longer sought just Pandora's unobtainium, they sought a new home. This meant that when the Sky People returned, they would not simply come to mine, they would come to colonize. Jake knew that Pandora would face an even greater threat than before. The humans would bring armies, fleets, and weapons designed to burn entire continents. The children of the future in the years following the war, Jake and Nateri started a family. Their children, both biological and adopted, grew up immersed in Navi culture but also carried parts of Jake's human legacy. One of these children was Kiri, born from the avatar body of Grace Augustine. Her birth was a mystery. Grace's human body had died, but her avatar had become pregnant. Kiri was unlike any child the Navi had ever seen. She was deeply connected to Eywa, able to sense the world's rhythms in ways even the elders could not. Jake and Nateri's other children, Netium, Loak, and Tuk, each had their own strengths and struggles. They were a new generation, born into a fragile peace but destined to face the storm that was coming. Eywa's warnings as the years passed. Jake began to have visions during his connections with Eywa. He saw images of fire consuming the forests, oceans boiling, and a shadow falling over Pandora. The Navy believed that Eywa was sending a warning. The balance of life was in danger again, and this time it would not be so easily restored. Mo, the Sahik, interpreted these visions as a call to prepare for a spiritual awakening. Eywa is not only of Pandora, she told Jake. She is of the stars. If the sky people bring death, Eywa may act in ways we cannot understand. The way of water, knowing that the oceans would play a vital role in Pandora's defense, Jake led the Omaticaya to seek refuge with the Metkaina. The reef clans were wary. They had their own traditions, and the forest Navi were outsiders. But through hardship and training, Jake and his family learned the way of water, a life of balance with the sea. They learned to ride Ilu, to hold their breath for minutes at a time, and to commune with the Tulkan, the ocean's most intelligent beings. The Tulkan were more than animals. They were singers, philosophers, and storytellers, with memories stretching back centuries. They shared a bond with the Metkaina similar to the Navi's bond with Eywa through the Tulkan. Jake began to understand that Eywa's consciousness extended into the oceans just as much as the forests. The sea was alive with its own neural network, vast and mysterious. The shadow returns as Jake and the Metkaina forged new bonds. The sky people returned, this time with even greater force. Massive starships descended from orbit, bringing soldiers, settlers, and machines designed to terraform Pandora for human colonization. The humans were no longer just after unobtainium. They were after Pandora itself. Jake knew that this new war would be unlike anything the Navi had faced. The sky people would strike from the skies, the land, and the oceans. They would stop at nothing to claim Pandora as their own. But Jake also knew that Eywa would not stand idle. The seeds of resistance had already been planted in the forests, in the reefs, and in the hearts of the next generation. The future of Pandora as the Navi prepared for the storm. Jake stood at the edge of the reef, staring out at the endless ocean. Nadari joined him, placing her hand on his shoulder. "We have fought before," she said softly. "We will fight again. But we are not alone." Jake looked at their children, at the Metkaina warriors, and at the Tulkan breaching in the distance. He felt Eywa's presence all around him, in the air, the sea, and the stars above. Whatever came next, Pandora would endure. And when the sky people returned in force, they would discover that the Navi were not just defending a world. They were defending a living god,